Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds productive discussions with Jordan's king in Amman, shares 8-point vision on trade, critical minerals, nuclear cooperation. Prime Minister Modi appreciates Jordan's anti-terrorism stance, calls it a strong strategic message to humanity, reaffirms India's support for efforts being made to achieve durable peace in West Asia. Ukraine-Russia peace deal closer than ever, Trump says after talks end in Berlin. US says Ukraine could get guarantees similar to NATO's article. Significant differences remain over territorial issues. Trump sues BBC over defamation, over editing of January 6 speech, seeks $5 billion for each of the lawsuit's 2 counts. Thailand deports Gaurav and Saurabh Luthra to India. The brothers were co-owners of the Goa nightclub where a deadly blaze killed 25 people on December 6th. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Amman on Monday, receiving a ceremonial welcome by Jordanian Prime Minister Dr. Jafar Hassan, marking a key moment in India-Jordan ties. Members of the Indian community in Amman gave a warm reception with cultural performances highlighting strong people-to-people links. Prime Minister Modi held talks with King Abdullah II, noting 75 years of India-Jordan diplomatic relations and calling for deeper cooperation. DD India's correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya gets us more.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Amman, marking a landmark moment in India-Jordan relations. In a special gesture reflecting the depth of bilateral ties, PM Modi was warmly received at the airport by Jordan's Prime Minister. Members of the Indian community in Amman gathered in large numbers to welcome the Prime Minister, waving Indian flags and raising spirited chants of Modi Modi and Bharat Mata Ki Jai. As he arrived at his hotel, PM Modi greeted the crowd, interacted with children and witnessed a vibrant cultural performance, highlighting the strong people-to-people connect. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi held comprehensive discussions with Jordan's King Abdullah II bin Al-Hussein.
Your Majesty,
expressing gratitude for the warm hospitality, PM Modi noted that India and Jordan are celebrating 75 years of diplomatic relations this year. He said the milestone would inspire renewed momentum in cooperation.
इस वर्ष हम अपने राजनयिक संबंधों की 75वीं एनिवर्सरी मना रहे हैं। यह मील का पत्थर हमें आने वाले कई वर्षों तक नई ऊर्जा के साथ आगे बढ़ने के लिए प्रेरित करता रहेगा। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि आज की बैठक से हमारे संबंधों में गति और गहराई एक नया रूप धारण करेगी। हम ट्रेड, फर्टिलाइजर्स, डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी, इंफ्रा और पीपल टू पीपल टाइज जैसे क्षेत्रों में सहयोग आगे बढ़ाएंगे।
The Prime Minister also praised Jordan's positive role on Gaza and reiterated a shared, firm stand against terrorism, extremism and radicalization.
गाजा पर शुरुआत से ही आपकी बहुत सक्रिय और सकारात्मक भूमिका रही है। हम सभी की आशा है कि क्षेत्र में शांति और स्थिरता बनी रहे। आतंकवाद के विरुद्ध हमारा साझा और स्पष्ट रुख है। आपके नेतृत्व में जॉर्डन ने आतंकवाद, उग्रवाद और रेडिकलाइजेशन के खिलाफ पूरी मानवता को एक सशक्त और रणनीतिक संदेश दिए हैं। रिस्ट्रिक्टेड बैठक के दौरान हमने इस महत्वपूर्ण क्षेत्र में सहयोग को और मजबूती देने पर चर्चा की।
King Abdullah II described the visit as a reflection of decades of friendship and mutual respect. He said the partnership has expanded across sectors, and this visit offers an opportunity to chart new paths of cooperation in industry, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, energy, and other promising areas, benefiting the people of both nations.
This visit reflects decades of friendship, mutual respect, and productive cooperation between our two nations. Our nations enjoy a strong partnership and a shared desire to advance prosperity for our peoples. And over the years, our collaboration has expanded across multiple sectors. Your visit today provides an important opportunity to chart new paths of economic cooperation across industry, ICT, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, energy, and many more promising fields of mutual benefits for our people.
Prime Minister Modi's Amman visit signals a renewed momentum in India-Jordan relations as both countries look to strengthen their partnership for the future.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Jordan underscores the growing depth of India-Jordan ties, with strong political trust, especially in economic cooperation and shared commitment to peace and moderation. Both nations are set to take the 75 years of partnership to new strategic level. With camera person Ashish, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from Amman, Jordan.
India and Jordan held delegation-level talks in Amman. Both the sides held wide range of discussions in areas of mutual and regional issues. In opening remarks, Prime Minister Modi said that both the nations enjoy a strong partnership and both sides have agreed to take positive ideas for taking India-Jordan relations to new heights.
इस वर्ष हम अपने राजनयिक संबंधों की 75वीं एनिवर्सरी मना रहे हैं। यह मील का पत्थर हमें आने वाले कई वर्षों तक नई ऊर्जा के साथ आगे बढ़ने के लिए प्रेरित करता रहेगा। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि आज की बैठक से हमारे संबंधों में गति और गहराई एक नया रूप धारण करेगी। हम ट्रेड, फर्टिलाइजर्स, डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी, इंफ्रा और पीपल टू पीपल टाइज जैसे क्षेत्रों में सहयोग आगे बढ़ाएंगे।
Jordan King Abdullah II bin Al Hussein said that Prime Minister Modi's visit reflects decades of friendship, mutual respect and productive cooperation between the two nations. He also added that today's visit provides an important opportunity to chart new paths of economic cooperation.
This visit reflects decades of friendship, mutual respect and productive cooperation between our two nations. Our nations enjoy a strong partnership and a shared desire to advance prosperity for our peoples. And over the years, our collaboration has expanded across multiple sectors. Your visit today provides an important opportunity to chart new paths of economic cooperation across industry, ICT, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, energy, and many more promising fields of mutual benefits for our people.
Prime Minister Modi, who was in Jordan on the first leg of his three-nation visit, shared on social media platform X that the outcomes of India-Jordan agreements mark a meaningful expansion of the India-Jordan partnership. Our cooperation in new and renewable energy reflects a shared commitment to clean growth, energy security and climate responsibility. Collaboration in water resources management and development will help us share best practices in conservation, efficiency and technology, ensuring long-term water security. The twinning agreement between Petra and Ellora opens new avenues for heritage conservation, tourism and academic exchanges. The renewal of the Cultural Exchange Program 2025 to 2029 will deepen people-to-people ties. Sharing our digital innovations will support Jordan's digital transformation and also promote inclusive governance. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Tuesday co-chaired the 16th India-UAE Joint Commission and the 5th Strategic Dialogue with UAE Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan in Abu Dhabi. During the meeting, the two sides comprehensively reviewed comprehensive strategic partnership and identified key priorities for future cooperation. During the dialogue, the External Affairs Minister highlighted the significant growth in bilateral trade, investments, fintech and digital connectivity following the implementation of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, that is CEPA, in 2022 and the Bilateral Investment Treaty in 2024. He also underlined the vast potential in connectivity and logistics, both bilaterally and through initiatives such as IMEC. Dr. S. Jaishankar said that the two sides also discussed expanding energy collaboration with a particular focus on civil nuclear cooperation, as well as consolidating defense and security cooperation. Other key areas of engagement included strengthening educational ties, enhancing cultural exchanges and people-to-people linkages, and also exploring new frontiers of cooperation in critical minerals, space and polar research. The discussions also covered closer coordination in multilateral fora and trilateral mechanisms, reflecting the shared strategic outlook of the two countries. The Indian External Affairs Minister also called on UAE's Vice President Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan on Monday in Abu Dhabi. In a social media post, Dr. S. Jaishankar stated that discussions were focused on strengthening economic and defense cooperation during his meeting with UAE Vice President Sheikh Mansour. India once again slammed Pakistan in an open debate on leadership for peace in the United Nations Security Council. India's envoy to UN, P. Harish, said that Pakistan is a global epicenter of terror, needs to credibly and irrevocably, and also its support for cross-border and all other forms of terrorism.
A serving non-permanent Security Council member that chooses to further this obsession in all meetings and platforms of the UN in pursuit of its divisive agenda cannot be expected to fulfill its designated responsibilities and obligations. With abiding faith in multilateralism, India reiterates that we stand ready to contribute towards working for peace, security, and prosperity for all.
Giving a befitting reply to Pakistan on its unwarranted reference to Jammu and Kashmir in an open debate, Ambassador Harish also stated that Pakistan has a unique way of respecting the will of its people by jailing a prime minister, by banning the ruling political party, and by letting its armed forces engineer a constitutional coup.
Pakistan, of course, has a unique way of respecting the will of its people by jailing a prime minister, by banning the ruling political party, and by letting its armed forces engineer a constitutional coup through the 27th Amendment and giving lifetime immunity to its Chief of Defense Forces. Let me be clear. India will counter Pakistan-sponsored terrorism in all its forms and manifestations with all its might.
India calls for more reforms in the United Nations Security Council to make it fit for purpose to tackle contemporary challenges, which is an urgent global imperative.
First, the primary responsibility for maintenance of international peace and security rests with the Council and its membership. Second, structural and systemic elements in the 8-decade-old architecture of the Council act as retardants in efforts to maintain international peace and security. Third, leadership for peace should be the guiding mantra for the ongoing UN 80 reforms initiative to enhance efficiency, effectiveness, and relevance of the UN and multilateral system. Fourth, the new Secretary General must embody the aspirations of the overwhelming majority of humanity who are from developing countries of the global South. Fifth, leadership by definition must be inclusive for it to be representative, legitimate, and effective. Sixth, India takes note of the recent efforts by the large majority of member states to bring in greater transparency and predictability in the election process of UN Secretary General.
Let's get you some updates on the Pahalgam terror attack now. India's National Investigation Agency filed a charge sheet against 7 accused in the Pahalgam terror attack, naming Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba and the resistance force among those responsible. The charge sheet, submitted before the NIA Special Court in Jammu, outlines Pakistan's conspiracy, roles of the accused and the supporting evidence. The charge sheet mentioned the band, LET and TRF as entities involved in planning, facilitating and executing the attack that claimed 25 tourists and 1 local civilian. Family members of the tourists who were killed in the April 22nd ghastly attack in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir thanked the government for their response, crushing terror bases in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
NIA और भारत सरकार को बहुत थैंक यू कि आपने इतनी जल्दी इस चीज़ पे चार्जशीट तक बात आ गई, इन्वेस्टिगेशन कंप्लीट हो गई और जैसे कि ऑपरेशन सिंदूर हुआ या ऑपरेशन महादेव हुआ, आपने एक्शंस तुरंत लिए हैं, जिसके लिए जितने भी अधिकारी इसमें इन्वॉल्व हैं उन सबको थैंक यू।
इसकी हमारे हिसाब से उनको कड़ी शास्ति देना चाहिए, क्योंकि दोबारा कोई भी हरकत नहीं करेगा इस तरह का।
हमें खुशी है आज कि NIA ने बड़ी तत्परता पूर्वक कार्रवाई की और बहुत गहनता से जांच की इस विषय की और जांच करके चार्जशीट दाखिल की है।
You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, masked suspect remains at large after Brown University shooting leaves 2 dead, 9 injured. Hong Kong court convicts media tycoon Jimmy Lai of foreign collusion as US and UK voice concern. Levee breach near Seattle prompts evacuations as heavy rains trigger widespread flooding.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. US President Donald Trump said that a deal to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict was closer than ever as European leaders proposed a multinational force to enforce a possible peace agreement. The remarks followed talks in Berlin with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and leaders from Britain, France, Germany and NATO.
And I think we're closer now, and they will tell you that they're closer now. We had numerous conversations with President Putin of Russia, and I think we're closer now than we have been ever. And we'll see what we can do. We want to save a lot of lives. You know, we sell equipment to NATO. We don't spend any money, but we do want to see if we can save a lot of lives.
European leaders backed US-supported robust security guarantees, including continued military aid to Ukraine and a US-led ceasefire monitoring mechanism. US officials said the guarantees would be similar to NATO's Article 5, under which an attack on one ally is treated as an attack on all. Zelensky said the talks showed progress, but differences remained over territory. Russia said it was awaiting details from Washington on the proposals discussed in Berlin and reiterated its core demands, including opposition to NATO expansion. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said on Monday that talks in Berlin involving European leaders and Ukrainian President Zelensky represented real and tangible progress towards ending the conflict in Ukraine. Ursula von der Leyen also stressed that close coordination between Kyiv, Washington and Europe was essential to secure a lasting peace that safeguards Ukraine's sovereignty.
We are seeing real and concrete progress. That progress is made possible thanks to the alignment between Ukraine, Europe and the United States. So we will continue working closely with President Zelensky and President Trump to achieve what we all want: a just and lasting peace that preserves Ukraine's sovereignty and strengthens its security. Finally, one of the strongest long-term guarantees is also the clearest one. It's Ukraine's path into the European Union. These security guarantees must be underpinned by firm principles. We will respect the decisions Ukraine makes for itself. Decisions on territories are for Ukraine to take, and Ukraine alone.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said on Monday that prospects for a genuine peace process in the Russia-Ukraine conflict are now closer than ever, praising what he described as remarkable security guarantees offered by the United States. Speaking at a joint press conference in Berlin with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky after hours of talks with U.S. negotiators, Merz said that the legal and material commitments put forward by Washington marked a significant and welcome step forward. However, he noted that a crucial issue still remained unresolved, the question of territorial arrangements. Merz stressed that any decision on territory could only be taken by the Ukrainian people and President Zelensky, who continues to defend the country's sovereignty.
The legal and material guarantees that the US has put on the table here in Berlin are truly remarkable. This is a very important step forward, which I very much welcome.
US President Donald Trump sued the BBC for defamation over edited clips of a speech that made it appear he directed supporters to storm the US Capitol, opening an international front in his fight against media coverage he deems untrue or unfair. Trump's lawsuit alleges the BBC defamed him and violated a Florida law that bars deceptive and unfair trade practices. He is seeking $5 billion in damages for each of the lawsuit's 2 counts. The BBC has apologized to Trump, admitting an error of judgment and acknowledged that the edit gave the mistaken impression that he had made a direct call for violent action. But it said that there is no legal basis to sue. U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday signed an executive order designating fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction, significantly broadening federal powers to combat the synthetic opioid responsible for tens of thousands of overdose deaths annually in the United States. The unprecedented move treats fentanyl not just as a public health emergency, but as a national security threat comparable to chemical weapons. By elevating its classification, the administration aims to intensify action against criminal networks accused of trafficking the drug into the country.
With this historic executive order I will sign today, we're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction, which is what it is. No bomb does what this is doing. 200 to 300,000 people die every year that we know of. So we're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction.
Moving on to U.S. shooting updates. Now, authorities on Monday afternoon released new images of a person of interest in the Brown University shooting, where a gunman killed 2 students and injured 7 more in a classroom. The FBI announced a $50,000 reward for information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the shooter. Police officers were going door to door seeking footage from home surveillance cameras as investigators renewed the manhunt. The search for the suspect resumed after authorities released a man they had detained over the weekend as a person of interest. Providence remains on the edge as the gunman is still at large, but officials report no credible threats and will not reinstate the lifted shelter-in-place order. Police are maintaining a strong visible presence to reassure the community. Australia residents urged tougher gun laws on Tuesday after a mass shooting killed 15 people during an event at the weekend for the Jewish festival of Hanukkah at Sydney's Bondi Beach. Among the victims from Sunday's shooting were a rabbi, a Holocaust survivor, and a 10-year-old girl. 25 survivors remain in hospital, 6 of whom are in critical condition. The victims' ages ranged from 10 to 87 years. Alleged gunman was killed by police, while his alleged accomplice and son is in hospital with gunshot wounds suffered during an exchange of fire with police. Australia's gun laws are now being examined by the federal government after police said that the older man had 6 registered weapons and had held a gun license since 2015. Home Minister Tony Burke said that gun laws introduced by the previous Conservative Liberal National Coalition government in 1996 followed the Port Arthur massacre needed to be re-examined. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese visited Bondi Beach shooting hero Ahmad Al-Ahmad in hospital on Tuesday, the man who disarmed one of the attackers in the Bondi Beach shooting. Albanese lauded his efforts to help stop the nation's deadliest gun attack in decades. Ahmad was shot several times in the shoulder after tussling with one of the gunmen. He briefly thanked well-wishers in Arabic in a video circulating on social media. Albanese described the Bondi shooting as a horrific act of anti-Semitism. Albanese said that the shooter father and the son were driven by Islamic State ideology when they fired at Bondi Beach.
Tragically, in 2025, we live in a dangerous time, and these two evil people have engaged in this act of anti-Semitism driven by ideology. It's an extreme perversion of Islam that has resulted in these catastrophic consequences, and my heart goes out to the grieving families tonight. This is a horrific act of anti-Semitism, a terrorist action designed to harm the Jewish community on what should be, of course, as the first day of Hanukkah, a day of celebration. Hanukkah in part is about the victory of light over dark. Well, this was a very dark day in Australian history, but together we will emerge into the light.
Australian police said on Tuesday that both men had travelled to the Philippines last month and the purpose of the trip is under investigation. Police also said that the vehicle, which is registered to the younger male, contained improvised explosive devices and 2 homemade flags associated with ISIS or Islamic State, a militant group designated by Australia and many other countries as a terrorist organisation.
There has been reports in the news about our 2 offenders travelling to the Philippines last month. I can confirm that they did travel to the Philippines. The reasons why they went to the Philippines and the purpose of that and where they went when they were there is under investigation at the moment. I also confirm that the vehicle, which is registered to the younger male, contained IEDs, but I also confirm that it contained 2 homemade ISIS flags. We continue to work through the motive of this tragedy, and we'll continue to do so, and I think it's really important that our investigators continue to be given time to do that.
Hong Kong's High Court found media tycoon Jimmy Lai guilty of conspiracy to collude with foreign forces in the city's highest profile trial on Monday that could see him jailed for life. Visiting Washington, Lai's daughter, Claire Lai, said that her father's death in prison would cause lasting harm to Hong Kong's reputation, but declined to comment on whether she had contact with US officials since the verdict. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump expressed deep regret over Jimmy Lai's conviction and urged Xi Jinping to consider his release. Earlier in October, Donald Trump had raised Lai's case with Chinese President Xi Jinping in a meeting and has said that he would do his utmost to save Lai. The case has attracted global attention, raising concerns over Hong Kong's judicial independence amid a prolonged crackdown on rights and freedom since the 2019 pro-democracy protests. Jimmy Lai has already spent 5 years in prison while facing multiple cases under the national security law imposed after the 2019 protests. Britain called for Jimmy Lai's immediate release, denouncing his prosecution as politically motivated. Let's get to other updates now. Emergency officials on Monday urged evacuations for residents near the northwestern U.S. city of Seattle after a levee breached from heavy rains in the region. The Des Moines levee breached along the Green River in Tukwila, Washington, a suburb south of Seattle. The National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning of more than 46,000 residents of the area. The warning caused several highways to close in the area, with evacuation snarling traffic along other routes of the city. The Washington National Guard is deploying troops to help with evacuations near the breached levee. Heavy rains have been battering the Pacific Northwest region of the United States and west coast of Canada for several days, causing widespread flooding and evacuations. A flash flood in Moroccan coastal town of Safi has killed at least 37 people as search and rescue operations continued on Monday. The National Weather Service has warned of more thunderstorms over the next 3 days in Safi and other regions. A surge of muddy water swept away cars and crashed from the town's streets. Schools will remain closed for at least 3 days as streets are blocked by mud and debris. The flooding affected at least 70 homes and businesses in the historic town centre. Authorities, through the Moroccan Prosecutor's Office, have launched an investigation to determine if anyone is accountable for the damage. Morocco, already suffering from drought, frequently experiencing extreme weather, but Sunday's flood in Safi have become the deadliest in over 10 years. Let's get you updates on the winter session of the Parliament now. Apart from other legislative businesses, 2 important bills will be introduced in the lower house of the Parliament today. The Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission Grameen Bill 2025 that seeks to replace the existing rural employment law, Mahatma Gandhi Manrega, is set to be introduced in the lower house today. A major insurance reform bill called Sabka Bima Sabki Raksha Amendment of Insurance Laws Bill 2025 will also be introduced in the lower house of the Parliament. The bill aims to expand insurance coverage and improve protection for policyholders. Further discussion on election reforms will be held in the upper house of the Parliament today. All right, so these were the updates on the winter session of Parliament. As we told you, 2 important bills will be introduced in the lower house today. The Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission Grameen Bill 2025. This seeks to replace the existing rural employment law, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, and this bill will be set to be introduced in the lower house today. And from here, we take you across to Jordan. India's Ministry of External Affairs is holding a press conference in Amman.
On the ongoing visit of Prime Minister to Jordan, we also have with us our Ambassador to Jordan, Shri Manish Chauhan, as also we are joined by Joint Secretary who looks after Wana region in the Ministry of External Affairs, Dr. Suresh Kumar. With that, I invite Secretary South for her initial remarks. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Randhir. Namaskar. Good morning to all of you. We are meeting here in Amman as our Honorable Prime Minister is on his visit to Jordan. This visit is very significant as this full-fledged bilateral visit is taking place after a long span of 37 years. As you are aware, this visit also coincides with the 75th anniversary of establishment of bilateral relations between our 2 countries. Honorable Prime Minister arrived yesterday in Jordan and was accorded ceremonial welcome at the airport. He, along with the Prime Minister of Jordan, inspected the Guard of Honor at the airport. After brief talks with the Prime Minister of Jordan, they departed for the hotel, and at the hotel, the Indian community and Friends of India warmly welcomed the Prime Minister. There was a small cultural program at the hotel to welcome the Prime Minister. Later in the day, Prime Minister departed for Al Husseiniya Palace. At the palace, he was warmly welcomed by His Majesty King Abdullah II. Prime Minister was accorded a Guard of Honor at the palace. After this, both the leaders had a one-on-one conversation, followed by delegation-level talks. The 2 leaders exchanged views on bilateral and regional issues of mutual interest. They warmly recalled their previous meetings and telephonic conversations. The Jordan side conveyed their support for India's fight against terrorism and condemned terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. Prime Minister commended the leading efforts by His Majesty on de-radicalization and as a voice of moderation in the Islamic world. Both the leaders also discussed ways to further deepen engagement between both countries. They also discussed the significant cooperation between the countries in the fields of fertilizers, especially phosphates. As you are aware, Jordan is an important supplier of fertilizers to India, especially phosphate fertilizers. Companies on both sides are in discussion for further investment in Jordan to meet growing need for phosphatic fertilizers in India. Our Prime Minister also proposed doubling of bilateral trade to $5 billion in a span of 5 years. On regional issues, the leaders reiterated the importance of peace and stability in the region. In this regard, they welcomed the adoption of Gaza Peace Plan. Prime Minister reiterated India's long-standing position on Palestine. Today, shortly after this briefing, Prime Minister, along with His Majesty King Abdullah II, will jointly address the India-Jordan Business Forum, which will be attended by leading business dignitaries from both sides. A huge delegation has traveled from India for this forum. The forum is expected to witness the participation of high-level business delegations from both sides in areas such as fertilizers, textiles, and many others, where we have existing engagements to new areas of cooperation, such as the new and renewable energy, IT, and health sector. Later in the morning, Prime Minister, accompanied by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, is likely to visit Jordan Museum. The museum showcases the history of the country from around the Old Stone Age to the recent times through several chronological and thematic exhibitions. During the visit, several MOUs and agreements have been finalized between the two sides in the fields of energy, digital technology, water management, culture, and people-to-people connect. The MOU on technical cooperation in the field of new and renewable energy will allow both sides to collaborate in the areas of green hydrogen, grid integration, and capacity building. The MOU on cooperation in the field of water management development was also finalized. Jordan being a water-scarce country, cooperation in this area becomes very important. The area of cooperation under this MOU includes water-saving agricultural technologies, capacity building, climate adaptation and planning, aquifer management, and rainwater harvesting. The strong cultural relations between the two countries got a further push with the cultural exchange program for the years 2025-29. Both sides also finalized the twinship agreement between the site of Petra and Ellora Caves of Maharashtra. Under this agreement, both sides will collaborate towards promoting and enhancing social relations and cooperate in areas such as tourism and culture. In addition, both the countries also agreed on further collaboration in the field of sharing successful digital solutions by finalizing a letter of intent in the same field. A joint statement will be issued after the visit, the text of which will be available on MEA website. The statement is expected to cover all the areas of bilateral cooperation between our two countries. So, to conclude, I can say that this visit has helped deliver some substantive outcomes, and the rich discussions between the two leaders have helped deepen the trust and mutual respect for each other's core national interest. Thank you so much, and I'll be happy to take a few questions.
Okay, we open the floor. Please, we have a question here.
Ma'am, I'm Vishal Sir from Doordarshan. My question is, there's a lot of anticipation about the digital transaction, digital payments between the two countries. So if you could clarify more on that.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, also, so this is Tapush Bhattacharya from Doordarshan. So also, when ma'am spoke about the terrorist aspect of the discussion, could you shed more light on that?
Okay. Further questions? Oh, yeah, please. We have a question there after that.
Good morning. I am from Radio Al-Balad. I have two questions. What were the main points discussed with the Jordanian Prime Minister? And second, will India participate in the Gaza Peace Council? Thank you.
Gaza Peace Council. We have a question there?
My name is Vinod Kumar from Akashwani. in the 8-point vision that was shared by the Prime Minister, he mentioned about civil nuclear cooperation. What are the main elements of civil nuclear cooperation that was discussed yesterday?
Ma'am, we can take these questions.
Let me begin with the terrorism question first. As you know that after the Pahalgam attacks, His Majesty had called our Prime Minister, expressing solidarity with India, and had conveyed that they reject terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. And King has been a leading voice. In fact, he's a voice of moderation. He's been known to have substantial work in the area of de-radicalization and counter-terrorism, or he's against extremism. He has some very well-known initiatives, in fact, which he has initiated. We know the Aqaba process is a multilateral initiative. India has also been participating in that. There is also this World Inter-Harmony Faith Week, which in fact was initiated by UN at the initiative of King Abdullah II. His messages on, his Amman message and also a common word message also received very positive responses. So he is respected the world over and is known the world over for having his views against extremism and terrorism. So in that context, we appreciate his views, and we have been discussing, counter-terrorism with him. Regarding the digital transaction between the two countries, I think we have signed a letter of intent. You see, India's experience in the digital field is appreciated the world over. We have very famous schemes like UPI. We have done this JAM, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile Trinity, which has been used very effectively in governance. In fact, we have DBT programs, etc. So these are the initiatives which attract many developing countries, many of our friendly nations and other nations also. So we have had, cooperation in the digital field with many countries, and Jordan is also keenly interested in this. We also have a RuPay card, in fact. My ambassador just told me, so that also is something which is of immense importance to both the countries. Regarding the nuclear cooperation, in fact, civil nuclear energy is supposed to be nowadays a very, very clean energy. And there were general discussions with the Jordanian side on the possibility of use of nuclear energy as a clean form of energy. There were no specific as of now, but they are both of the view that this is a form of energy which can be a very clean form of energy, especially now when we are talking about climate change, etc. Regarding the, which was the other question? Gaza pieces. Discussions with the Jordanian Prime Minister. In fact, they had discussions on generally on the bilateral aspects of our relations. There was interest in basically how to enhance further cooperation in areas such as logistics. There were areas such as education and so many other things, in fact, which we have been discussing generally with Jordan. Regarding the Gaza, we know our position on Gaza. We have welcomed the Gaza peace plan, and we are happy that the first phase is in force, and we hope that it brings lasting peace to the region. We also participated at the Sharm el-Sheikh conference. We have a long-standing position, like we support on this Palestine issue, and we support efforts towards just and durable peace. Anything that builds or contributes towards building just and durable peace in the region, we support those efforts. You want to add something? The Jordanian Prime Minister.
His Excellency Dr. Jafar Hassan very kindly received Honorable Prime Minister at the airport and then accompanied him to the hotel. All through the way, I'm sure they had discussions. But as we understand, he was also, His Excellency Dr. Jafar Hassan was also there at the meeting between the Prime Minister and His Majesty the King. What we understand is the discussions primarily focused on enhancing the economic cooperation between the two countries. We already have substantial economic cooperation, and as You mentioned the Secretary also said, Honorable Prime Minister proposed the doubling of the trade between the two countries to $5 billion over the next 5 years. So the discussions with His Excellency the Prime Minister were primarily focused on enhancing the bilateral cooperation, be it in the economic sphere. There was also discussion on educational, university-to-university cooperation, as well as the more joint ventures, be it in the logistics, as the Secretary said, or also in the transport and railroad infrastructure. So there is considerable interest in taking this economic partnership, in particular the people-to-people, especially in the education sphere, and also in the research and collaboration, exchanging students. So many proposals were made and many substantial discussions were held, and we look forward to taking them forward on all these aspects.
Okay. Do we have more questions? If not, sorry. Wait a minute, please wait for the mic.
Was defense cooperation also part of the discussion? Because from importer, India has now become exporter of the arms, and we are exporting to 100-odd countries.
So defense cooperation. You have a question? Excuse me, please take the mic.
So the first question was on the technical cooperation in the field of new and renewable energy. Was there any intent from the Jordanian side, or for that matter, do they want to join International Solar Alliance? India has been forefront on that, and or probably the Global Biofuel Alliance, something on that line.
Thank you. Ma'am, we can take these questions.
Thank you. On the defense cooperation, we have already an MOU on defense cooperation with Jordan. Under that, we have set up some mechanisms. For instance, a defense consultative meeting is in place. They have been meeting regularly. They've had 2 meetings so far. We've also had cooperation in the area of training. In fact, we have Jordanian Defense Forces personnel, participating in our training programs. We also participate in the SOFEX exhibition and exercise of Jordan, and we have received an invite. In fact, the Jordanian side this year have extended an invitation for SOFEX 2026, and we are looking at participation positively. Regarding the energy cooperation and their participation, yes, you are right. In fact, Jordan has immense interest, in fact, has expressed willingness to join International Solar Alliance, because solar energy is an important area of cooperation. They have also expressed willingness to join 2 other global initiatives of India, which is Global Biofuels Alliance and Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructures. So we look forward to collaborating with them more under these platforms also. Thank you.
With that, ladies and gentlemen.
So this was the press conference by the Minister of External Affairs from Jordan live. We had Dr. Nina Singh, Secretary South, apprise us of what all has been the highlights of Prime Minister's visit to Jordan. She informed about Prime Minister holding bilateral talks with Jordanian King. She also talked of how both the leaders discussed expanding India-Jordan ties. This comes at a time when India and Jordan are observing and celebrating 75 years of diplomatic relations. Prime Minister Modi also laid out the ambitious 8-point agenda to transform the bilateral ties. She also talked and informed about the key MOUs that were signed between India and Jordan. 5 agreements were signed: global issues, terrorism, and Gaza also featured in the India-Jordan talks. She also talked of the outcomes marking meaningful expansion of India-Jordan partnership, and the MOU on technical cooperation in the field of new and renewable energy was also signed. MOU on cooperation in the field of water resources management and development, twinning agreement between Petra and Ellora, and renewal of the cultural exchange program for the years 2025 to 2029. Now, these were the MOUs that were signed. She also took the questions by the media persons there. Before that, a letter of intent on cooperation in the field of sharing successful digital solutions implemented at population scale for digital transformation was also signed. Talking of the questions which she took from the media persons, she replied on Jordanian King calling in fact, expressing solidarity with India on the on the issue of terrorism. And she also said that the King of Jordan has been against radicalization. She enlisted the initiatives taken by the King against extremism and terrorism. She also talked of digital transactions between the two countries, and for this, a letter of intent has been signed between India and Jordan. On civil nuclear cooperation, she said that the focus is on clean energy and the use of nuclear energy as a clean form of energy, how it can be taken forward was discussed. She also talked of enhancing cooperation in the areas of logistics. On the Gaza peace plan, she said that India looks forward to the Gaza peace plan, bringing in long-lasting, just and durable peace. She also talked of defense cooperation that is already in place, and that would also include in the area of training and the SOFEX exhibition. India has been invited and for 2026, and India is looking forward to participate in that as well. And she also talked of an energy cooperation. She talked of how Jordan has expressed willingness to join ISA and also Global Alliance on Biofuels, apart from other forums. So this was just of the press conference by the MEA from Jordan. Talking of the second leg of his three-nation visit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Ethiopia on Tuesday. Prime Minister Modi's two-day visit will not only aim to strengthen the diplomatic ties with Ethiopia, but is also an opportunity to expand trade, investment opportunities, and also cultural ties with the Horn of Africa. DD India's Deepika Mehto gets us this report from Ethiopia's Addis Ababa. Let's take a look.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to visit Ethiopia, the land of origins and the Horn of Africa, on the 16th and the 17th of December 2025. This is the second leg of Prime Minister's visit after Jordan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold wide-ranging discussions with Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali on key aspects of India-Ethiopia bilateral ties. As partners in the Global South, the visit will be a reiteration of the shared commitment of the two nations to advance close ties of friendship and bilateral cooperation.
We see that this visit will further strengthen the understanding, and it will pave the way for cooperation in multiple areas, which starts from agriculture, manufacturing, skill development, mining, IT, and the frontier sciences like artificial intelligence and machine learning.
During his visit to Ethiopia, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will meet the Indian diaspora, visit the Adwa Victory Memorial Museum erected in the center of Addis Ababa, which is a living heritage that reminds of the sacrifices paid for the independence of black people across the globe, and will also address the Ethiopian Parliament. Besides the key engagements, important MOUs are also expected to be exchanged between both the sides, which the stakeholders are eagerly waiting for.
With the Honorable Prime Minister Modi coming in here, and with him a lot of hopes, lot of aspirations, especially in the business and commerce sector, and we are all ready here. We are looking forward to expanding our ties with Ethiopia and offering some things that we have developed expertise in, and one of them is the business and commerce trade.
The first ever visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is not only special for various stakeholders here, but the visit is also eagerly awaited by the Indian diaspora of Ethiopia.
Welcome Modi ji to Ethiopia.
Prime Minister Modi ji coming to Ethiopia, visiting us.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit comes at a significant moment when Ethiopia has embarked on comprehensive economic reforms and are opening up key sectors, including the banking sector and the capital markets. With this visit, India seeks to align the development cooperation and economic engagement with Ethiopia's priorities, exploring new avenues for cooperation which are mutually beneficial to both the sides.
Diplomatic ties, cultural exchanges, health diplomacy. We've seen it all flourishing between India and Ethiopia over the past several years, and now it's time to take it to another level as Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to visit Ethiopia for the first time ever at the invitation of Ethiopian Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed. several key MOUs are to be exchanged. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also address the Ethiopian Parliament, and along with that, he will also meet the Indian diaspora. We will keep updating you all from Ground Zero on what can we expect more as we witness India and Ethiopian relations flourishing to another level. With camera person Lalit, this is Sipika reporting from Adwa Victory Memorial, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour, but we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.